Hello, I'm Judith Green. I work for Somerset Libraries Service, and I wanted to talk to you in a series called Food for Thought, which is going to be about baking and reading, which are both my enthusiasms and both work quite well together. In baking, there's often times when you have to sit and wait for things. Nothing better than a good book to pass the time, and in the present situation, a good book's a real comfort. So the two activities work really well together, I think. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the baking aspect. A lot of people are enthusiastic about baking for the time being. A lot of people are interested in baking bread, but the big problem seems to be that you can't get yeast. So I'm going to show you in the next series how to make sourdough starter, which is you don't buy yeast, you cultivate your own yeast, and then you use that to make sourdough bread. You need plain flour and water, basically. Not self-raising flour, bread flour if you can get it, plain flour if you can't. Takes 5 days to get your first starter going, and then 1 day from then to make your first loaf. After that, you put away some of the starter in the fridge, and then it's ready to use next time, so you go straight on to the bread making, which takes 2 days from when you take the starter out of the fridge. On the reading side of things, Libraries West has an excellent offering which is provided by Somerset Libraries. You can borrow e-books for 3 weeks. You can borrow 10 books up to 10 books at any one time, or you can borrow e-audio books, both of which you download and you get for 2 weeks, and you can have up to 5 books. So in the course of the demonstrations, I'll be recommending books which I think will go well with the particular recipes that we're going to use. So I hope you're going to find this interesting, and I hope we produce some other items in this series. So now we'll move on to making the sourdough starter. You're going to need plain flour, definitely not self-raising flour, ideally bread flour if you can, but if you can't, just use ordinary plain flour, that'll work fine. To begin with, to make the sourdough starter itself, you're going to want 60 grams of flour and about the same amount of water. Subsequently, to make that up into bread for 1 loaf, you'll need 500 grams of flour, some salt, a little oil, a little sugar, and some water. But we're just dealing with the starter at the moment. So I'm going to turn the scales on and weigh out my flour. Just ordinary plain flour I'm using here. So we want 15 grams of flour. That's 15 grams of flour. Quite a small amount, and then even the scales up, and 15 grams of water, a little bit more. There we go. So that's in my dish there, and I'm going to mix the two together to make a smooth paste. Try and get the lumps out and get the water and the flour evenly mixed. It's not too critical, but it works better. Then scrape down that paste into the bottom, into one little lump in the bottom. This sourdough starter, when it's made up, will make enough for 1 loaf and the same amount of starter to go in the fridge to make your next loaf. So now you've got that all gathered together in the bottom, and I'm going to cover it over and put it in a warm place. I'm going to put it beside the Arga, which isn't on very hot at the moment. You can put it in an airing cupboard, or if your house is warm, it can just stand by a radiator or stand in the kitchen. I'm going to leave that now till tomorrow. And in the meantime, you'll have lots of time for reading now. So the first book I'm going to suggest, which is from our Libraries West ebook collection, is an Agatha Christie book, which is effectively called Giant's Bread, which I thought was a good one. All Agatha Christie books are a good read. This one is a bittersweet personal crime of the heart. The central character is a musician, but he's a flawed genius, which leads to terrible consequences. And it's a spellbinding novel with a romantic obsession. So it should keep you occupied till at least tomorrow. If you can't get hold of that book on our Libraries West ebooks because someone else has beaten you to it, there are lots and lots of other Agatha Christie books on there. So enjoy your reading, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hello, and welcome back to day 2 of Sourdough Starter. I'll just go and fetch it from beside the Argo where it's been keeping warm. We have a rather unprepossessing lump of glob in the bottom. It's gone slightly gloopy, which is probably good news, and it goes very stringy, which is also something that happens as the flour changes in character. So now I'm going to add 15 grams of flour, just the same as yesterday. Just resetting the scales. There we are. 15 grams of plain flour. There we are. And 15 grams of water. There we are. So that's just on top of the gloopy yesterday starter. Now we stir it in just like we blended it yesterday. You'll see it's going slightly stringy now. That's perfectly normal. Just like yesterday, scrape it down so it sits in a lump at the bottom of the bowl. There we are. So that's going to sit there, and that's going to go back and sit by the Argo again for another day. Keeping warm, ideally a nice steady temperature. It doesn't have to be too warm, but it does need to be a nice steady temperature. Okay, and now on the reading side of things today, as we're talking about sourdough, which does involve quite a lot of setting up time, very little actual making time, but it does take 5 days to get there to the point at which you can make your bread. You've got time for a large book. So I'm going to suggest J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, which is available on Libraries West ebooks as a 3-volume, extremely large read. So it's 3 volumes in one, J.R.R. Tolkien, Lord of the Rings. I have to say, it's an amazing book in my opinion. It's a complete creation of another world. It's far better than the film version, but I have to say the New Zealand landscapes in the film version are brilliant. I'd love to go there one day. But generally speaking, the book is a far more engaging read than watching the film is. So we're going to leave that sourdough starter by the cooker for now. I'll just have a quick word about joining Libraries West as well. I mentioned briefly yesterday, it's free to join, and at the moment you can join online if you go to librarieswest.org.uk, and at the top left hand corner of the screen you'll see there's a join button. If you press that, there's an online form which you can fill in, and then that will give you a functional membership straight away. So go on there and join. Once you've joined, on the Libraries West site on the right hand side there's a box labelled e-resources, and if you go through there that'll take you down to the ebooks and the e-audio books and how you download the app to get those to work for you. So I'll see you tomorrow.